good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so I was looking for it, finding the good. You found good in abundance because you chose to consciously tune into I on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. The ambassador of joy. And you tuned in because you know that on this show, we talk about some of the most high energy, influential people that you'll ever meet, no matter what their age, young, old, and between. And because this is what Las Vegas is really about. Yes, it's about gambling and sex. Okay, that stuff here also. It's really about a dynamism that you can't find anywhere else in the world. As a matter of fact, I'm privileged to speak to millions of people around the world every month on my podcast, The Joy of Living, and I in Las Vegas. And thank you for loving us so much that you recommend that your family and friends join every week. And right now, we're over 500,000+ people that listen to every show. And we urge you, share this with 5 people. You want to share it with 50 or 100? That's great, but at least 5 people. That way we'll touch 2.5 million people around the world. Keep bringing people in because, as I said, I speak to people all over the world. And whenever I mention 2 words, everybody leans in, opens up their ears and their eyes, say, tell me more. And these 2 words are Las Vegas. Let me tell you, too, a data point about Las Vegas is really amazing. Take the entire population of New York City and everybody around it, the entire population of Chicago and everybody living around it, the entire population of Los Angeles and everybody around it, and the entire population of the state of Florida. Add them all together, doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in a year. 41+ million people come here. Why? Because it's a place that things are happening. And talk about happening, I am just so happy to have with us today a young, dynamic, amazing being named David Khabie. David, please say hello to 519,822 people around the world.
Hello, everyone. Barry, thank you so much for having me. And you were not kidding about the high energy that you have. I think we're gonna have a little contest today of who can have more energy because
let's do it.
I am the most energetic person I know, but I think I have some competition. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
So one of the reasons that I'm so happy that David is here, he was recommended by a mutual friend of ours, is because he embodies what I believe is the essence of youth in the world today. Now, notice I didn't just say American youth. Yes, it's certainly American youth, maybe more so than others, because it's the American mindset. Now, the American mindset doesn't necessarily live in a particular geographic area. It can be anybody in the world that is independent and wants to grow and do and be and make a success of their lives, both in the physical realm, in the mental realm, and the spiritual realm. So as I said, David he embodies that. What is he doing? He's working with a really famous and wonderful investment house. He also has his own podcast. He's also an interesting guy who is involved with AI. So let's just start with something called Schmoozing Time. Okay, David, what does Schmoozing Time mean to hundreds of thousands of people around the world who may live in places that never heard the word schmooze?
So I honestly, it's funny. I have this podcast called Schmoozing Time, and the word schmooze, I think, can mean a lot of different things, right? If you ask somebody, what does schmooze mean to you? Some people might be like, oh, schmooze is just like talking up somebody and trying to get something out of them. Schmooze is, shooting the crap with somebody else and talking about life and catching up. So the definition of schmooze actually ranges based on people. So I want to start with that. But Schmoozing Time is this podcast where I had over 60 Jews come on, talk about why they're proud to be Jewish and promote their personal brand that way. I named the podcast Schmoozing Time because I'm somebody that likes to have casual conversations. Contradictory to the polo that I'm wearing right now as I come home from work. I'm a very casual guy. You'll find me sitting around in sweatpants and a t-shirt usually, but I like to schmooze with people. I like to hear people's stories. And I started this podcast because I felt that there was a lot of negativity going on in the world. And I know that's a word that we don't say on this podcast. So that's the last time I'm going to say
Well,
it.
no, actually, I'd like you to speak about that because
Okay.
it is a word that exists and it challenges people around the world. And
Yes.
there are people who are living in really difficult countries like
Hmm.
Pakistan and the Congo. We have listeners in the Congo. We have listeners in Baluchistan. We have listeners throughout Latin America and such. We have listeners in Chicago. Talk about challenge.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
negativity exists. So talk to us. What do you mean about negativity and how do you diffuse that and cause a shift in perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about this all day. I was literally just on the phone with somebody talking about how all of us are in situations in life, right? Like you mentioned that some people are living in terrible conditions, and I won't deny that, but I do think that everybody has a conscious choice to diffuse negativity and choose positivity, right? For me, it's all a mindset shift. There could be terrible things that happen to you, and I really believe that like it's on us to take the negative thing and move it towards something positive. So, with my podcast in particular, the Jewish people, that word is almost, I would argue, a negative connotation, right? People have hated us for the longest time. And I could go on and on and on about all the terrible things that have been said and done to the Jewish people. But I wanted to shift that narrative, right? It's easy to dwell on our past as Jewish people. I wanted to shift that and say, okay, how can I create a show that is not only focused on the individual person promoting themselves, but also focused on that element of Jewish pride? I think that's exactly what combats all this negativity that's going on, being more proud of who you are as a Jew. And quite frankly, Barry, like I became more proud of my Jewish heritage and my Jewish identity because I did this podcast. Like going into this podcast, I was not, I would argue that I wasn't super religious, and I could definitively say that because I've done this podcast and talked to so many Jewish people, I've become more religious in that sense. And sure,
I
religious is
want
a
to make mention of something. David's last name is Khabie, Khabie. He comes, or his family, actually, through his grandfather, I believe, comes from a country that today is called Syria, and the capital Damascus. And
yes.
um, it's very interesting to be aware that Jews have been in the Middle East for thousands of years by
Yep.
definition. Only when it comes to Syria and other places, they left after 1948 when the state of Israel was established. And for the most part, they were forced out of places that they had been living in for millennia. You hear that? Not just 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 500 years, oftentimes 2,000 plus years. And it's a difficult situation. And one of the things that I'm very happy to hear, David, that you understand that the ability to shift perspective is an individual choice. So I share with people on my podcast that the 6 most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life are the following: choice, not chance, determines your destiny.
Mhm.
How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your path in life and your trajectory. And so you have chosen to emphasize the positive aspect of using your mind, your words, and it's really important. Everything you say is going to be positive, and your deeds. Am I correct on that?
I want to be humble, but yes, you are correct on that.
Okay, very nice. So let's talk about when you went and did the podcast, the schmooze, and you learned more about you as the individual, proud to be a Jew, and began acting in a very positive way. Your thoughts were better, your speech was more pure, your actions were better. You were a giver. You became more involved in giving because that's the essence of what a religious Jewish person is all about, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how you were able to get this personal brand and what it's done for you, not just in the sense of being a proud Jew, how has it helped you in understanding that you can make a contribution to the world by being the best possible you? Because that's what this show is all about. We'll talk about in just a moment. What is this personal branding? How does that help you?
Yeah, I think in simple terms, your personal brand is how you promote yourself to other people. And whether you like it or not, you have a brand, right? You're remembered for something. And it's up to you to kind of like your attitude and your mindset and your perspective on life. It's up to you to decide what you do with that brand. So I actually became fascinated with this concept when I was still in college. I think I was like a sophomore or junior. I first got introduced to this idea of personal branding in this sports class that I was taking. And from there, I looked into like what is personal branding a little bit. And then once I started to come up with this idea of schmoozing time, I was like, okay, how can I add a spin to this Jewish pride concept? And I really think that like personal branding is an art, right? It's not, sure, there's some science to it, but I think social media has given us a medium to show who we truly are to millions of people. And Barry, you know this firsthand. If there was no social media, there would not be 500,000
Right.
people listening to this podcast. And I think, again, going back to this idea of of we have a choice that we can make. We could choose to use our brands for good, or we could choose to use our brands for bad. And I like to think that like through my podcast, through promoting Jewish pride, through helping people assess what their personal brand is, because I think people struggle to define it. And funny enough, I actually struggle to define my personal brand. So that's something that I'm
Okay, so
continuously
David,
working through.
let's ask you, David, what is your plan? First of all, where did you go to college?
Okay, I went to University of Maryland.
University of
Maryland.
Metal, UOM or something like that. That's what it's called.
UMD, University of Maryland, College
Yeah,
Park.
University, Maryland, something.
College Park.
Okay. Okay. And you were in this sports program, which, by the way, is the perfect place to learn about personal branding because that is what sports has become.
Yes.
The whole idea of what you can do now with images and such, because now younger athletes, high school athletes, can be literally selling their personal brand, their image, their abilities, and so on. And that didn't happen, certainly not 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, and it just became law recently. So it's so interesting that you were working in this program. And the beauty of personal branding is that you now become the best you. See, one of the
Yes.
things I talk about on I Am Las Vegas or on the Joy of Living podcast is that this show is not about David, great guy that he is, or about Barry, fabulous fellow. This show is about you, YOU, you becoming the best you, because when you are the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. Am I right on that, David?
Absolutely. 100%.
Woo! On that high note, what we're going to do is we have sponsors that love our show. We wouldn't have them on if we didn't think they're worth of your time and attention. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go away. We have more of this wonderful, dynamic, amazing young man on the other side of this break. Be right back. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking. You're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is David Khabie, and he is a great advocate of and a poster child for personal branding. He started his own podcast. Why? Because he understood that he wanted to find the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant essence of what it is that's about him, in this case, Jewish pride. He also is a fine young man in a great company in the Baltimore area. You can look that up in the world if you don't know where Baltimore is. And I want to ask him to start talking about, we talked about personal branding before. I want to talk about AI, because let's be blunt. Everybody in the world uses AI, those two letters, in their speech sometime in the course of a day. Now, the way I define AI is the following: always improving.
Mm.
Okay. Now, some people call it artificial intelligence. I prefer always improving. David, what do you do with AI? What is it that grabs you about this, which is not just the future, it is now? What are you doing using AI in your everyday encounters?
I think a better question would be, what am I not doing with AI? Because
Wait a minute,
it
that was
is
great. I love it.
it is to critique the podcaster critiquing the podcast. I'm kidding. But I think the thing that fascinates me about AI is that not only can it do these repetitive tasks that we don't like doing, but it can also dig deeper into things and teach us things that we weren't able to learn before. So, a perfect example is that I did not know how to write code. And I'm currently in the process of learning Python, which is one of the biggest programming languages out there.
Sorry, what is it?
And it's called Python.
Python, right? Yes.
Python.
By the way,
And
everything about David is in the show notes. You don't have to write anything down. It's all
okay.
in the show notes. It's all cool. Just be aware. Okay.
Okay.
You're
Uh,
learning how to program using Python.
Correct. And Python is normally what you have to do in order to learn Python is you go to school for computer science, you look up classes online. But I actually used AI, which runs on code, to teach me Python. And what I mean by that is I would write a couple lines of code to try and get a specific output. And when you run the code in a Python environment and press enter or play, it will give you the error, but you don't always know what the error is because it's kind of discrete. It's like if you don't know Python, it's like a different language. So what I would do is I would take the code, copy and paste it, put it into ChatGPT and say, what is wrong with this code? And it would teach me what's going on in Python. And from there, I just learned how to code. And again, by no means am I an expert in coding. And one thing I will caveat and say is that if you're a software engineer, I have so much respect for you. Like the infrastructure that our technology is built on, applications, websites, it is so complicated. Like I've tried to build an app, I've tried to build a website. It is so complicated. So next time you're on the web or you're watching this podcast, be appreciative of the people that build it because
I want to put up David on pause for a moment because you have just sprinkled into the conversation something absolutely vital for people to understand. It is too easy to take, say, I breathe. Okay, fine. The people don't go around every day saying, thank you, dear Lord, for allowing me to breathe. I do. That's a different story. What he's talking about is the ability to appreciate things. The fact that we have tools that are readily available, websites that run at the speed of light, things that happen when you press a button on a phone, and an app occurs and allows you to process and order something and do something and communicate. It is important for the human condition to become appreciative. It's important for the human psyche, for the human heart, for the mind to be appreciative. So, David, thank you for that. This in itself is worth the entire conversation. I love the fact that you went to Python, did something, found an error, and went to another AI process. It happens to be that I use Perplexity. Are you
okay.
impressed?
I very impressed you use Perplexity. I love Perplexity.
And I even know about it, right?
Yes.
I like Perplexity. I don't do programming. I have other people that do that for me, thankfully. I use my time. Again, this part of it has to do with choosing what you want to do with time. And what David is saying is that, look, I am of an age that for me, I'm a digital native. That's what you're telling us. And you want to be able to now get into the realm of coding without having to go through the years of learning the code process Because why? You can use your time even more effectively for other things. So I love
Yes.
how you said it and turned it around and say, Barry, what do I not use AI for? That is spoken like a true 20-year-old. Thank you.
I,
So you're
I
using Python. So tell me something else that you use AI for in your everyday interactions with the world.
yeah, I think going back to personal branding, I've explored kind of how does AI help me uncover my personal brand and how does it help uncover others people's personal brand. So, I'll ask AI, I'll be like, here is who I am, right? And I'll list like things that I think I am. Based on this, how would you define my personal brand? And give me if you're a marketing expert at all, or a little bit about marketing, there's something called a unique value proposition. And I think that's kind of tied into personal branding. And all unique value proposition is like, why are you different? Why should people care? Why should people buy your product? Right. And there's so many examples of companies that have a very distinct, unique value proposition. And for you to think about what is my unique value proposition, that might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But what if you could literally brain dump all of your thoughts into this engine that is trained on the internet for the past God knows how long? And it will tell you, hey, David, based on what you're telling me, here's what I recommend. And it's so fascinating because I've learned so much about myself that way. That's just, again, Barry, that's just one small thing. Another thing for me is like, I'm somebody that likes to consistently eat healthy, go to the gym, work out. We talked before about how I became more religious because of Schmoozing Time. I think overall, the past year, I've grown so much, not only in the religious areas, but also in my personal brand and also in my fitness. I think when all three of those are working in harmony, you're good. And I feel like through AI, I've also learned a lot about my fitness goals and how I can accomplish them. So again, endless use cases, I like to say, but those are some of the ways that I'm using AI currently.
This last point that you brought up is particularly fascinating. Now, it happens to be I don't usually date anything that we do.
Okay.
I'm going to date this one. This is the 30th of September in the year 2025. And I say that because it's quite possible that people will be watching this 50 years from now, 100 years from now. They're saying, what did those people 100 years ago talk about in the schmooze? Okay. The fact that you have become what I call your own spiritual chiropractor. Now, what does that mean? So everybody knows what a chiropractor is, correct? You
Yeah.
feel sort of out of sorts. You're at the gym. You feel, neck and leg. You go to the chiropractor, and the person goes, and now you're aligned, correct?
Yes.
So spiritual chiropractor, and everybody can become one for themselves, is that you want to make sure that your thoughts are aligned in good, that your speech is aligned in good, that your deeds are aligned in good. And now you're in harmony, in alignment. As you said, those are your words. And that is what enables you to become more spiritual so that your physical, mental, spiritual element is all aligned. And the reason I make the mention of the year and the date is because just 20 days ago, a really young, dynamic, amazing American was taken from us. His name was Charlie Kirk. And his being helped fuel a revival in religion for the United States of America. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Happens to be we're talking about Judeo-Christian values, because that's what Charlie Kirk spoke about. And here we are, Jews, speaking about Christianity, and the amalgam of those values that enables someone to be proud of living a good life, not rushing after the craziness, wanting to get married, wanting to build a family, wanting to help do good in the world. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely.
Well, Dave, I tell you what you're talking about with this idea of with AI and how you position it. It's truly one. I love the fact that you put in, this is who I think I am. AI, help me out with my personal branding, because you're right. Why should anybody be listening to Eye on Las Vegas or Barry Shore? Well, yeah, he's a great guy. He's so handsome. He's so rich, and he's so different. Okay, fine. What else about? By the way, with your permission, I created an acronym for your name. Can I share it?
Acronym. Sure. Go for it.
We love acronyms. I'll give you an acronym first of all for the word joy. The word joy is an acronym that stands for Journey of You.
Mm,
You like that?
I like that. I like
Here's
that.
the acronym I created for David. Ready?
Yeah.
DAVID. David stands for Driving Awareness, Vitality, Insight, Decisively.
It's pretty good. I did you use AI to come up with that?
Yes, this one. I challenge myself, by the way, to not use AI when it comes to using my mind to think of these things. I am known as the king of acronyms. Now, I could go in and create, if I went to AI and did say, give me acronyms for David's name, we can come up with 20, 30 of them, and I'm sure they'll be very good. I like mine because, first of all, I see who the being is, and it's more organic. So even if I was just doing it to rattle things off, that's one thing. However, the ability for you, David, distinct from myself, see, I'm chronologically 76. So I'm not a digital native.
Right.
You're a digital native. So for you, this is part and parcel of your very being. And that's why I applaud you with this, because what you're going to do with the company that you work with, when you're going to be doing analysis that wants to yield the greatest return for the investors and such, you must use AI because you need to be able to do things fast, efficient, and effectively, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, this is just, I'm telling you, I am uplifted by what you're telling me.
Thank you, Barry. And on this topic of
Yes.
using your mind and your brain, one thing I do want to touch on, you mentioned Charlie Kirk, and whether you agree with his politics, disagree with his politics, the one thing that I think that he did very well is he engaged in conversation with people. And it is very easy. I actually have a bit about this on Schmoozing Time where I talk about it's very easy to think mindlessly and go with group think and not challenge your own thinking. And I think that's something that's so easy to do with AI and with social media is you can go think with the crowd. I like to call it like sheepism. You're a sheep, you're following the crowd, you're thinking like everybody else. But for me, since his death, I have been trying to challenge myself to challenge my own opinions, right? Because that's what it's about. It's like if you really want to understand people, and this podcast is all about joy, right? We want to create more joy in the world. Joy. How's that? That was good. If we want to create more joy in the world, I think that I'm somebody that doesn't get involved in politics, quite frankly, because of this very reason. I really think that we all need to come to the table and say, let's engage in conversation with each other and find out where we have commonality, because commonality creates joy. We have a lot more in common with each other than people might think, despite, oh, I'm super, super left. Oh, I'm super, super right. It doesn't mean that we can't get along. Like that concept to me hurts me inside. And that's something that like, I really wish that more people would do more of is have conversations with each other. If you disagree with somebody, say something. It's not worth, you shouldn't go out and shoot somebody because you disagree with them. I think that's absolutely horrible and shouldn't be accepted on either sides of this political party. This is a human issue. And it's so frustrating to me that my generation is, I think, the culprits of this, right? We become so easily what's the word? We become so, I don't know if brainwash is the right word, but we be so easily subject to groupthink and we think like our peers. So if there's anything to learn from me talking about AI and using it to your advantage is sure, go ahead, use AI. But when it comes to actual value thinking that requires deep, just coming up with a thought, right? Emotional intelligence, feeling, understanding each other. That's when I suggest you use yourself and not AI. So sorry to cut you off there, but I just wanted to jump in with that.
I want to emphasize something. If you've been watching, you will see this right away. If you've been listening, I think you'll pick up on it. The last 2 minutes where David has been giving me and us in his insight, animated, involved. Everything before that was it was excellent. Discussion. Now it was coming out real.
Yes.
That's the genius of human communication.
Yes.
David Khabie, I love it. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm loath to say these words. We're coming to a close on our time together. I have 3 quick questions for you. You ready?
Let's go.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Woo! Thank you, David. You have only 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
I think my most fervent desire is to start my own business that truly helps people and be able to live a life that is not only meaningful, but I get to change people's lives as well.
Thank you. Number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 521,917 people around the world?
Let's do it.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited, giving. You ready? 1,
Yep.
2, 3.
I love it. The virtual hug.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one, right? It's a VUG. And remember that you're listening to, watching Eye on Las Vegas, the humble host Barry Shore, and amazing guest David Khabie. And we want to give you a blessing, and that is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad, go make a difference. David, don't go away.